Defense. Defense.
Tuesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show presented by Branded Bills. Make sure you head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. I'm Anthony Totri, that guy right there. That is the man chasing his own tail, the old onion boy, Erik Ruby. We got the deli man behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. Do us a solid. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your
I feel like you need this.
Can we get a little deep cam?
No deep cam. Look, while you're hitting the like button, while you're hitting the subscribe button, also, Rubus, maybe join the supporters club?
Okay. We got to talk about something.
Okay.
You know I love our ASU community.
Absolutely.
Here. We have a problem.
A slight one.
It can be fixed.
Very easily.
Much like the problems with this football team, they could be fixed. We have this new incredible thing that Shane Dieffenbach has been fighting for years to give to our friends in the chat. And that is a YouTube membership that unlocks special emojis in the chat. The thing with how this works with YouTube is that you unlock more emojis that people can use, the more members join. And I want to say, as PHNX as a whole, we have had a great turnout and great support for members off the bat. But we don't have any ASU emojis unlocked yet. And do you know why, Anthony Totri?
Because we don't have enough ASU members.
Because there's a U of A emoji unlocked.
They got more.
I can't do this. There's a Forks Up. And guess what? The cool part about this is it's $5 a month, right? And you get a badge next to your name, you get special emojis, and the more people that become members, the more emojis we can make, and we can take requests. So if you want like a Chicken Little emoji.
Or an angry Bobby Hurley face.
Or a tummy trouble Totri somehow if we do that. An angry Bobby face, a dilly dilly emoji. Like, you guys can help decide and run this.
Yeah.
So become a member. You cannot do it on mobile. On the app, you could do it on your mobile browser, and you could do it on your computer browser, and it's super easy. Plus, if you do the $15 Hall of Fame level one, you get a special badge, and you get some exclusive behind-the-scenes vlogging and stuff.
Click the link that is in the description, y'all. Sharon, if you are still having troubles with it, just put it in the Die Hard chat, and we can figure it out a little bit later.
Yeah, if you go to our main page on browser, it will take you to, or it'll show right underneath the show that is live, the members, and it says join right there. But I also am putting a link in the chat right now.
Hell yeah.
That'll take you right to it.
McKay says yesterday was the venting day. Yeah, a lot of folks wanted to get their frustrations out yesterday. Rubus has gone 2 days now getting his frustrations out. We'll see if there's a third here.
Frustrated guy.
Look, I think, again, we maybe didn't solve the issues with the Arizona State offense on yesterday's show, but I think we definitely gave some good options, and we'll see what this offense looks like on Saturday against Texas State. But I think more so than the offense, there are a lot of folks still concerned with what this Arizona State defense has looked like through the first couple games of the season. Especially considering that this is a defense that we talked all offseason long, had the potential to be one of the best in the Big 12, a top 15 defense in the country. I think the talent level is still there, but similar to the offense, there are some glaring holes that need to be shored up. And to continue the theme that you've been providing for I feel like a season and a half now. Perfect opportunity in front of you
Sure.
for Arizona State against Texas State to figure out some of those defensive weaknesses.
I feel like there's like a lot of disclaimers that I want to give because there have been some really positive parts of this defense, like the run defense in the second half.
Yeah.
Or the whole game.
Yeah,
really.
the run defense over the first 2 weeks of the season has been
and the
solid.
entire Mississippi State game has been really, really, really solid, right? They've made some big plays. They've gotten to the quarterback a little bit more, right? That being said, overall, this defense should be held to maybe the highest standard on the team, maybe even higher.
Easily the
maybe
highest
even higher than the offense that has, when you consider your two best players in Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson, they're on one side of the ball.
Yeah.
Right? The returning starters, the high-end talent level, the depth, the coaching, the success from last year, like these are all things that should have been conducive to a fast start for this team. 19 points against NAU, not great. I get it. That touchdown at the end was against the second stringers. Your second stringer still shouldn't give that up, shouldn't really be in that position. I'm not as much concerned about the points. I'm more concerned about how comfortable at certain points NAU's offense looked.
Yeah.
Right? Then you go out against Mississippi State after, I would say, a relatively disappointing performance on defense in week 1. And sure, maybe it's a scripted drive and you're in a raucous environment, but you get absolutely carved up on the first play, carved up in the first half. And then to give them credit, they came out in the second half, and until the very end, they shut Mississippi State down, right? They showed what they should be for 95% of that second half. But there are some certain themes and position groups that I would say I'm incredibly disappointed in through 2 weeks that I highly expect turn around over the rest of the season.
And what has that been for you?
To me, it's the secondary. And it's all the soft coverage that this team has been playing. It felt like NAU and Mississippi State were allowed to get into their offenses and allowed to be comfortable. It felt like ASU hasn't been imposing their will.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when it came to the secondary. Hey,
Sharon became a member.
Not just a member, by the way, an MVP.
Ooh.
Sharon.
Most valuable
Sharon.
player. I love it.
Sharon. And now, Sharon, you'll notice that you have a little badge next to your name.
Goat.
And if we get more members, we can get some ASU emojis in there. And we have some really, really, really cool ones that we are working on to get you. But you can see that.
See the forks up right there?
Ooh.
You want it?
I want it.
I want it.
We need more guys.
We
need more MVPs.
But I would just say, like, Ty Pennington felt like he could get into his game, and NAU's receivers had a great game. They moved down the field. They're giving up chunk plays, right? And in situations, they stop them from scoring more often than not. Mississippi State, right? Giving up chunk plays, letting Blake Shapen cook a little bit, right? Not really letting them run, but it's ironic that I say, they're playing soft coverage and maybe not aggressive enough, and then you look at the biggest defensive play of the season and they're being ultra aggressive and Xavion Alford trips and obviously the cascading effect after that. But do you share, I guess, my view on the secondary and I guess maybe the biggest frustration coming out of week 2 for this defense?
Yeah, I think the secondary has definitely been a liability to this point in the season. And I think you bring up a good point in terms of the rhythm. But I think the biggest issue with me that we're seeing right now from the ASU defense that you didn't see in 2024 is the explosive plays that they're giving up. We know that this Arizona State offense wanted to be more explosive, but I didn't see the defense turning into a unit that was going to continue to give out explosive plays like they're candy on Halloween, because that's exactly what they've done through the first couple of weeks of the season. You go back to the NAU game. NAU had 5 different players have a play of 20 yards or more. That is far, far too many. You go back to the Mississippi State game. Every single one of Mississippi State's touchdowns was over 45 yards long. It wasn't like they marched down the field and they beat you like just because they were in the red zone. They're beating you on complete blown plays in the secondary, and each and every one of them are fixable. I know there have been a lot of folks, especially after Saturday's game, that pointed out Javan Robinson being on the wrong end of a couple of those explosive plays. It's not just Javan. I think you're seeing the loss of Shamari Simmons for this Arizona State defense be a real difficult situation for Brian Ward and company to try and replace. And you've got some talented guys in Montana Warren who have, yes, been in the system. You've got a guy in Kendrick Breedlove that, again, was maybe Purdue's best cover corner, best overall corner before transferring to ASU. But you are still feeling the effects of losing your starting nickel, not only a starting nickel, but a starting nickel who had so much experience on the back end of this defense playing safety, right? So replacing him has certainly, I think, led to some communication issues, at least early on in some of these games. You see players trying to pass off wideouts or tight ends in coverage.
Especially
maybe
that first
there's lapses in judgment.
Yeah.
Like overall, I think this unit, again, has the talent to be everything that we thought it was going to be. But if they're going to get to that point, the communication issues need to be resolved. Everybody needs to know exactly what they're doing. And one thing that I've seen a couple different times, specifically against Mississippi State, is some of these corners maybe getting a little too aggressive, maybe trying to make plays when they just need to simply sit in coverage. There was at least one play specifically, I want to say it was the first touchdown of the game, that Javan Robinson, he had bit on a quick little curl route on the outside. Shapen looked him off. He looked off the nickel as well, which I want to say in that specific moment was Myles Rowers. He hit a guy on the seam. Alford had a tough job of being the last man there. Took an unfortunate angle, and then Mississippi State scored. Like, you go through all of these touchdowns, they're easily all fixable. We know what happened on the last touchdown of the game, right? Where you in theory dial up the right play, some timing issues.
You got tripped.
And again, the communication in terms of who's passing off who, where should everybody be? There was a lapse there. You give up a game-winning touchdown. You go to the second big touchdown of the game for Mississippi State. Javan all night, in most of the corners all night, were playing pretty soft coverage. They were about 8 and 9 yards off the line of scrimmage. That play, Javan pressed. He pressed, got beat. He got beat and the wide receiver tripped and still scored a touchdown on that play.
But that specifically felt more like a scheme thing than a Javan thing.
Which part exactly?
That touchdown. That one felt more like a scheme thing than a Javan thing, because why are you pressing on one of the fastest players in the country?
Yeah, especially because, like, I mean, I like Javan. I think Javan's good, but Javan's not like speed demon, right?
No.
I think
none
overall,
of these corners are speed
right,
demons.
and I think overall, when you look at the secondary, like the speed, and maybe that's why they play a little bit more soft coverage to kind of make up for the fact that they're not the fastest group, right? But they are a really, really smart group. I think also when you look at everything as well, like, Arizona State's defense last year wasn't exactly shut down in the sense that, like, they didn't allow people to move the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Right. And we've seen this in flashes, especially against NAU and in the second half against Mississippi State, where the defense has given up chunk plays, and then when it matters the most, they're able to construct 3 good downs of defense in a row, and then they force either a turnover, a punt, a field goal, or whatever it might be. And I like that they're able to step up in that situation, but I think that when you're allowing another team to get into rhythm, and me as like a basketball guy, right? It's like, if you got a really good shooter, and it's like, all right, like, we're going to just kind of let you shoot because maybe you're not like the most important thing. Like, we got really good paint defense, so we're going to shut you down in the paint. We're going to let you shoot. And you let somebody see a couple go in. Okay, well, now if you're adjusting and you're going out to contest and be out them a little bit more aggressively, that contest is going to mean a little bit less because they got into their groove. Like, I think Mississippi State, especially in that first half, the fact that at home blackout game, they're able to go down the field and it's 3-4 plays in and they're celebrating 6 on the board, right? That's a confidence boost for your quarterback. That's a confidence boost for your offense. And you got to give credit to the defense for bouncing back in that second half. But it was tough when you were already A, playing from behind, and B, playing a team that had found their groove. And so if you can find a balance of being able to not be exposed for the speed by pressing and playing really aggressive coverage, but also not giving up kind of these soft plays, then maybe that's where this defense kind of finds like its balance point. Because I think Brian Ward is somebody who's been calling defenses for 20 years. There's no way he looks at the last 2 games and is satisfied. There's no way that Keith Abney and Javan Robinson and Montana Warren and Myles Rowers and Xavion Alford are looking at the passing performances of the last 2 teams and are feeling satisfied. I think they absolutely have the talent level and the coaching and the ability to step up. But, like, at the end of the day, like, Texas State is not a good enough team to where they should ever really feel comfortable on Saturday. And I think more so than just points on the board, I'm going to be looking at, does Texas State feel like they're really getting into a rhythm on their offense? Because that is what has been the biggest, I think, Achilles heel for this defense through 2 weeks.
And see, that's an interesting point you make, right? Because your issue is that you feel like the offense is getting in a rhythm, and mine is almost the opposite. Of like, it's not necessarily that these offenses are getting in a crazy rhythm and dotting you up and driving the length of the field time and again and just carving up your defense. Again, you look to that game against Mississippi State, all 3 touchdowns, like I said, are over 40 yards. Those are one plays.
I mean,
right?
Those
are one shots. Those are big plays that are ending in touchdowns, which again, I think is fair because NAU did feel like it was a little bit more drive heavy than it was big play shot.
If you took like the points off the board against NAU, right, it would have felt like a much closer game than what it actually was.
Yeah.
Just if you're like, okay, I'm watching the highlights, I'm seeing how each team is moving the ball, taking scoring plays out of it. You'd be like, man, especially in the passing game. It was just specifically what I'm kind of focusing on when I'm saying the rhythm. But I get with Mississippi State, it was more big explosive plays than NAU. It felt a little bit more methodical against ASU.
100%. And these are things that I think this team has cleaned up. At least you look at the second half against Mississippi State, you did have that one explosive play. Obviously, it came at the most inopportune time for ASU, where you give up a go-ahead game-winning touchdown against the Bulldogs. But for the majority of the second half, like, this run defense was stout. They've been stout for the majority of the season. And the secondary did a relatively solid job, again, minus that one game-changing play at the very end. Like, this is a defense that, again, we've talked so much about. You've got all these returners, but truly, I think we need to see whoever's playing that nickel spot step up to be the level that Shamari was, because it's clear that it has been a massive loss for this Arizona State defense as it stands through 2 weeks.
I have a question for you then, because I feel like Montana's done a pretty good job, right? I don't look at the defense over the last couple of weeks and think, damn, man, Montana is leaving something to be desired. Is it more of just a tangential, like, hey, the other impact besides what Shamari did in his position, but just like, I guess like leadership, communication, game planning with Shamari, versus the fact that there is like a crazy steep drop off between the play of Shamari and Montana? Like, where do you fall on that spectrum as to why you think that that's kind of the crux of what's going on?
I will give you that answer on the other side of our first break. Look, I told you guys the other day, and I tell you all the time, if you are an avid sports fan and you want to boost the fun that you're having while watching the games, well, go try some Pure Edibles. I'm sure there are some Bears fans out there that would have loved to be on the uplifting effects of the Pure Edibles gummies as they watched their team lose to the Vikings last night. But regardless, if you're watching a movie, you're hanging out at home, whatever, make sure you get yourself some Pure Edibles. Pure gummies, they're not covered in sugar like all of their competitors, so that might have you at home thinking, well, do they just taste like normal weed gummies? No, they don't. They actually still taste like candy. I would argue that Pure gummies sometimes even taste better than candy itself.
They're so good.
Look, they offer gummies. They got Kicks, which are their version of Starburst Chews, soft candies like caramel, and then hard candies as well. Make sure you go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona.
We all know how hard it is to save money, track money, make sure you are getting the most out of your money, especially like for me right now. Like, I think that there's such a big difference between thinking that you are tracking your money and legitimately tracking your money. And that's why Monarch money comes into play, especially, and let me speak to those who are in a relationship with a significant other, whether you're dating or married or engaged and you're trying to maybe focus on building a life together. Like, you got double the amount of expenses, right? You have double the amount of spending, 2 times the amount of cards to track and whatever, investments, 401ks, whatever you have. Subscriptions, like, you have double that. it's even harder to keep track of all of it. And it's better when you do it all together. And that's why Monarch Money is such a great thing that you can use. And a lot of fights and relationships come from money. So make sure that you're all on the same page and don't let financial opportunities slip through the crack, and track your money with Monarch Money. Use code PHNX at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year of tracking your money and so much more at monarchmoney.com with code PHNX.
Guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and get out to Rally House. We got an event this weekend, man.
So fun. Don't just go to Rally House for Bo and Johnny, but you can also go to Rally House
for Joe and Bonnie.
For Joe and Bonnie. Cardinals show is...
Don't go for Bo and Johnny.
No,
go for Joe and Bonnie.
You should go for them because they're awesome.
No, go for Joe and Bonnie.
Bo's like, come here, Bo. Come here, Bo. Come here, Bo. Bo, I was telling people Rally House is so great. They shouldn't just go to Rally House to support you guys, but let the people know what you're doing on September 12th.
Hopefully, we're going to be giving away some gift cards. I know we've got actually a couple of those already secured. And then also, how about some of those rivalry jerseys? And guys, I saw this yesterday, the new Sun Devils jersey. I saw it IRL, as they say.
Wow.
It looked unbelievable. So hopefully, Rally House will have some of those too.
Speaking of looking unbelievable, Bo Brock.
Wow.
Everybody. Wow. Looking tan, Bo.
Yeah, why is he always so tan?
He's so tan.
So tan, so handsome.
Can I just borrow some of it?
You want him to borrow some of his skin?
I just need some tan.
The skin borrower.
That's a bad one.
Like
that one will be.
That might be the worst.
No, that one will be for October.
I don't like that one.
The skin borrower.
Ooh. Was it like a wolf?
No, it was just like a.
It was like ooh.
Yeah, it was like that. But there wasn't like my voice didn't go up the stairs like yours did there.
Go up the stairs.
Go up the stairs. Yeah.
What's it called? Bravado?
Yeah.
No,
sure.
I don't think it is.
No, it might be.
No.
It might be something like that.
Sharon, I feel like you know that.
For all the people that are just joining us, can you repeat your question?
No.
That you had?
Totri forgot it.
I did.
Totally forgot
I did definitely forget your question. A lot happened in the last 5 minutes,
That's true.
man.
Bo was on the show. I apparently steal people's skin.
Yeah. No, just Bo.
I was voted besides Jesse Friedman the most likely to be a serial killer.
Most likely to steal somebody's skin.
Who voted you a serial killer?
You did.
Yeah.
I didn't vote you a serial killer.
I think all of us
It was like a conversation that everybody had. They'd be like, oh, it's like, oh, yeah, it's Jesse. And then it's like, who would it be?
I think it was Ben Coleman that said that Jesse was.
Yeah, he said he said I would be an arsonist.
Anyway, what was your question?
Anyway, my question is, do you think that I'd be a serial killer? No. So you mentioned the nickel spot and that kind of being the crux of a lot of the reasons why this defense is struggling. But for me, when I'm watching, I feel like Montana's actually done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Especially filling into that role. Like, has he been Shamari Simmons? No, but I haven't looked at that spot and been like, you're missing something big. So do you feel like the nickel conversation is more about the actual play from that spot, or more of like the comfortability, the communication, and kind of the effects that losing Shamari in that sense has on this defense?
I think it's more communication and just time. I don't think it has anything to do with the talent level of Montana Warren and Kendrick Breedlove. I think they have both showcased an immense amount of talent at practice and, in the opportunities that they actually get in the game, whether that be at, this school or previous schools, in the case of Kendrick. Like, the value of Shamari was that he had played so much college football, right? Even before being at Arizona State, being at Austin Peay, et cetera, and having, almost a Ben Coleman-like ability to be a safety, to be a coverage corner, to be a nickel, to maybe step up in the box and act as if he's a linebacker. Having that experience, especially in a defense that is, very reliant on zone coverage, like, exactly where these folks are going to be within a yard, right? It's like anything that you do over time with somebody, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know exactly what the majority of your day looks like on a day-to-day basis.
But you
because
have no idea what I'm going to say next.
I don't. But it's because we've been doing this together for some time now,
rhythm.
right? The same goes with Shane. Like, more reps with Shane, more reps with you. It's the same thing with anybody. The more reps, the more live reps you have with somebody, especially in a defensive system, the easier it is for you to almost play your spot because you know exactly where you're going to be. You go through the chunk plays. You go through the explosive plays that Arizona State's defense has given up. It's not a lack of talent, right?
No.
It's more so a lack of, I don't know where you're going to be. It's maybe somebody trying to play hero ball, which I think just needs to be done in general for this team. Stop playing hero ball. Like, there are little nuances here and there that I think you've seen cause holes in this Arizona State defense through the first 2 weeks of the season that aren't like crazy miscues that are ultimately going to ruin this team's season for the year, right? It's little things that just need to be like more so playing for the team.
Yeah, and you're right. I think part of the reason why it's so frustrating that you're right is because
it's me.
Don't even get me started on that one. No, because this isn't a defense that has had so many moving pieces and parts. Obviously, Shamari is a huge part of it, played a ton of football and was a main communicator, main piece of this defense, and losing him is not a small deal. That being said, every other starter on your defense returned.
Yeah.
Right? You would have expected, not that it's the end of the world that it's happened, but you would have expected that chemistry and those things that you're talking about to be on a little bit of a better point right now. It's a new team. It's a new year, right? There's a new starter in there. There's new secondary pieces, not just in the secondary, but in your two deep and everything as well, right? Like there are some moving parts and pieces around. It's not like it's exactly cookie cutter, copy paste the same, and you're playing, different teams or different iterations of a team. So it's not like, they should be perfect. But I think you would expect for a team that's returned so much talent to be in a better spot in that sense. That being said, those are easy problems to fix.
Yeah.
The hardest problem to fix is what?
You do this where you ask me questions, and sometimes I know what you're going to say,
and that's why I ask
them
because it's fun. Shane, what's the hardest problem to fix on a sports team?
Football.
Not having talent.
It's talent for any team. The hardest thing to overcome into becoming a great team is to have the perfect top end talent.
Yeah.
And then it's the fit of the talent right after that. Shout out to the Phoenix Suns. Like, there is so much positive about this defense, and we haven't even talked about the defensive line, which I think has been pretty good through 2 weeks.
Especially in run defense.
Especially in run defense. But there's so much like meat on the bone still. Yeah. Right? Because
this team can get so much better.
But and they can on both sides of the ball, right? And I think that the chemistry, the identity, which is the main word that we were talking about either yesterday or on Saturday, the identity word, it goes on offense and it's on defense. That will develop with time. And the fact that, we sit here and we talk about how bought in everybody is to each other, to the process, to the school, to the city, to the coaches, like, nobody is half-ass in here. Over time, that is going to help you correct and fix problems.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like the Herm Edwards era where you would see a problem and be like, I'm going to see that same problem 5 weeks from now. And then you would. I do expect a lot of the problems that we're talking about right now, by the time you're a few weeks in a Big 12 play, to not be around anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fair point there, right? Like, what was the biggest issue coming out of the NAU game? The penalties.
Yeah.
Right? How many pre-snap penalties did Arizona State have from week 1 to week 2? I mean, they
had less, and they had a couple.
They had less. There was no holdings.
There was,
right?
Ooh, no, I think there was one.
I don't believe there was a single holding against Arizona State. Not offensively. There was a couple false starts, but there wasn't any holdings, I want to say, against Arizona State in that week 2.
Penalties, it was 8 for 49 yards.
So less penalties,
less
penalties,
yards. Way less yards instead of 6 for 60 for Mississippi State. Better.
Much better.
Not perfect.
No.
Better.
Yeah, much better. But again, you can see the emphasis from week 1 to week 2. Hey, this is something that we need to fix. I think week 3, you're going to see the most change from Arizona State from what you saw at the start of the year, offensively, defensively. And I think a big thing for ASU this week, kind of pushing on the narrative of, okay, like, how do you build from what we saw defensively against NAU to Mississippi State to now Texas State, is you have an offense in Texas State that scores a lot of points, right? A vertical offense that is going to push the football, and they want to score. It's what they do, right? I believe they average, as it stands right now, maybe 40 or 42 points a game through 2 games so far this season. So you're going to have an opportunity as an Arizona State secondary, as an Arizona State defense, to not only prove that you have filled those holes within the secondary that were issues against Mississippi State and maybe issues against NAU, but also to capitalize on that. This is an Arizona State defense that did not score, or this is an Arizona State defense that scored touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
That created takeaways, forced turnovers, created extra possessions for that Arizona State offense. And this year, you just have the one, right? You need to be able to create turnovers and takeaways. What that does in terms of momentum, what that does in terms of actual scoring is massive for a team like this as it stands right now. And I think, again, this opportunity with the way that Texas State's offense operates, always trying to push the ball down the field, always trying to score points, it is going to create extra opportunities for this ASU defense to wreak havoc, not only in the secondary, but also up front with the pass rush.
It's they have to. They have to do that, right? And they have to respond, and they have to be better. Like, I know there's been no excuses through 2 weeks, but like you got to be more buttoned up, because if you do end up losing to Texas State, it's not season over, but my Lord, the discourse is going to be
the discourse is not going to be great.
It's going to be rough, and you're going to start Big 12 play behind the ball, which is like, it's not the end of the world, but it's not ideal. You're going to have to pretty much run the table in the Big 12, and for a team that's 1-2 in non-con, how likely is that? By the way, just a slight correction. There was one offensive holding by Ihanachor in the second quarter.
One holding.
Okay. Just 7-yard penalty for ASU. I just want to say that there was a defensive holding as well. But anyway, with the big plays, I think that's like
monitor over here.
Just making sure. With the big plays and the takeaways, you know who's leading the team in interceptions this year, right?
Right now for ASU?
Right now.
Yeah, it's Anthony Cooper.
It's Anthony Cooper.
It's a problem, man.
It's a problem.
Lockdown Coop. That's what I call him.
Coop.
Yep. He can flip his hips quick.
Yeah.
This team, when it did last year, give up some of these chunk plays, right? Or play softer coverage, or do some of these things where it's like, okay, man, like this defense is driving. They wouldn't just get stops, they would get momentum shifting stops.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, you look at like huge plays like the Javan Robinson pick against BYU, or of course the interceptions against Texas, right? Like, you absolutely need these big momentum shifting plays while your offense still figures it out, right? Like, at this point in the season, like, if we talked about ASU struggling 2.5 weeks ago, right, it would be okay. Maybe the offense needs a little bit of time to gel together with all the new pieces, but they're being carried by their defense.
Yeah.
Right? That would have been, I think, the expectation. And right now, they're not getting carried by either side of the ball.
Yeah, right now, neither side looks very... It doesn't look like they have an identity.
They don't look dominant on either side of the ball.
I think right now, and ironically enough, the identity, if we want to go just based off week 2, is that the defense is really good against the run, which they were last year, with some holes in the secondary. And offensively, they run the ball really well, but maybe the offense as a whole isn't necessarily in a great rhythm. I think, again, you've picked out the holes and the issues through a couple weeks, and these are very, very fixable things. Although something that I want to see more of, and maybe this is just me, and maybe I'm misremembering it, I do not remember Arizona State sending a ton of pressure against Mississippi State. Like, realistically throughout the game. And again, that just, my memory could be off. Maybe I'm like just not thinking of it correctly. Like, outside of that singular blitz that you had at the tail end of the game that we know how it went, like, can you recall a time when Arizona State got home on a blitz in that game? Like, Clayton Smith had a couple sacks, but like the whole purpose, and it's funny that we have the issues with the offense and we talk about, well, what's Kenny do really well offensively, right? Well, they run the football and they open up the play action.
Yeah.
Well, defensively, what's the staple of Brian Ward, right? Simulated pressure and chaos. And while you've had, I think, an uptick in actual quarterback hurries and maybe some pressure there, I don't see chaos when I look at the Arizona State defense right now. That's something that you saw from the jump against Wyoming in 2024, right? Is you saw a unit that was all over the field, creating takeaways, forcing pressure, and making noise, running around like their hair's on fire.
Yep.
That's not something that I have seen up to this point in the season. Maybe it is a comfortability thing. Maybe it's not. But regardless, like, they need to get back to that identity on defense the same way that the Arizona State offense needs to find its identity.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I felt like that in the first game against NAU. I was like, man, they're not getting the quarterback. Then Keith Abney got the first sack of the season.
Keith Abney got the first sack of the season.
When they were really, like, they sent pressure on that play and Keith made that. And I just, maybe that's just something to where it's going to come with time.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Here's the thing. Let's be honest. It has to. Like, it has to, right? This defense has to get better with time. This defense has to get better in the secondary.
This is, I mean, if it doesn't get better this week, then I don't know if it will.
And that's the problem, right? Like the
That's much better than this. What did I say?
The skin borrower?
Yeah, the skin borrower.
No, you said skin stealer.
No, I didn't say skin stealer.
Skin stealer sounds way cooler.
Skin stealer is definitely.
That sounds way better.
I think I said the skin borrower. The borrower of skin. No, skin stealer is way better.
I don't like that.
Continue with your thoughts.
Skin stealer sounds like a D3 quarterback. I forgot what I was saying, but
for UT Martin.
Yeah, for the University of Texas.
There it is.
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee is in.
Sorry, guys.
Is in Florida, buddy.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
Continue with your thought, man.
Guys. Sorry, all the UT Martin psychos and sickos coming at me. I forgot what I was saying. Whatever.
If you don't pee after sex, you get a UT Martin.
There is definitely a UTI. There's totally a UTI university. Absolutely.
On that note, guys,
I'm looking it up.
We'll be back on the other side of this quick break.
I mean, Universal Technical Institute. From UTIs to weed, the PHNX Sun Devils story. Listen, I can do this ad read in 10 seconds. It's the easiest ad read I've ever had in my entire life.
Weed.
Literally, do you want 50% off weed? Seriously, Zen Leaf Dispensaries not only is it great weed, great locations, great people, great stuff. You get 50% off weed by using code ZENPHNX for a one-time purchase.
Wait, how much?
It's a limited time. 50%.
Like 50?
50% off. You know how expensive weed can be?
50% off.
50% off weed at Zen Leaf Dispensaries, courtesy, of course, of Zen Leaf and the good people over here at PHNX.
The good folk.
Whether you're using it to stock up before Saturday in case you're a little bit nervous, or a post-game celebration, or just to relax after work, make sure you, for a limited time, use code ZENPHNX and get 50% off a one-time purchase. Zen Leaf, great weed, great service every time.
And great deals. That's what I love about all our partners here at PHNX, or at least the majority of them are trying to help you guys save money, but you need a place to put it. Look no further than Mountain America Credit Union. Of course, they're a proud sponsor of Arizona State University. Hope to see all of you Arizona State fans pack Mountain America Stadium when the Sun Devils take on Texas State. You guys can take your finances to new heights with guidance from Mountain America. Of course, Mountain America supports hundreds of student athletes and the community, donating $250 to support university athletics for every field goal made this season, providing $20,000 in scholarships to local student athletes each year, plus sponsor a shoe donation program to award brand new shoes to community members in need. Mountain America is dedicated to guiding members and communities forward. You guys can learn more at macu.com/ASU. Insured by NCUA. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit.
Who's the starting quarterback for UTI?
UTI?
Yeah.
It's a real university?
It's the Universal Technical Institute, so not really.
They don't have a football team.
No, probably not.
Okay.
I think Jaden Rashad is transferring there next year.
Long.
Jordan asked how the pass defense is. Well, Jordan, we've just talked about it for the last 10 minutes.
Defense,
it's really bad.
Jordan, who is a Texas State fan, thrown in there that the Bobcat, they're Texas State Bobcats, right? Yeah. Had 450-plus yard touchdowns last week against UTSA.
50-yard passes.
Not to be confused with UTI University.
Yes. They do play next week.
The Arizona State secondary has definitely given up some big plays. Like I said, all three of Mississippi State's touchdowns last week went for over 40 yards. That wasn't necessarily the case against NAU. It did feel a little bit more methodical on their scores. But that has certainly been an issue, not just explosive touchdowns, but big chunk plays. 5 players had a play of 20-plus yards against NAU. So you are giving up far too many chunk plays and explosive plays if you are this Arizona State defense. And again, like Jordan says, it's something that Texas State likes to do. They like to push the football downfield. So you are going to be presented with those same challenges, and Arizona State is going to have a big opportunity in this game to really steer the narrative the other way by not allowing Texas State to go out there and have some big plays.
Yeah, I mean, if Texas State goes out there, and this is much like when we talked about NAU and Mississippi State, This is not me trying to disparage the talent level of the other team. This is more me looking at Arizona State.
Are you sure? Because you were saying some pretty outlandish stuff before we got on air.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Terrible.
Yeah.
No. This is more about looking at Arizona State, and I am still choosing to judge them based off of, like, can you be a top 10 team?
Yeah, your overall standard.
Oh, your overall standard. 7 days ago, this team was the number 12 team in the country. 14 days ago, they were number 11, right? Texas State can have a great passing offense, and you're not going to be able to stop all of it, right? They're going to have a big play, most likely, or at least a good play. Most football teams that are not, UTI football teams are going to do that, right? I hope somebody just jumped in right on that. That being said, if Arizona State wants to be a top team in the Big 12, a top 10 team in the country, top 25 team in the country, you need to eliminate that from their game, right? Like Texas State did not play Arizona State last week.
Correct.
They did not. They haven't played Arizona State this season. They
They
have not played a team as talented as Arizona State since they played Arizona State last season at home. And this time, they're on the road. So Arizona State does not need to go in here and do anything fancy. They need to play hard-nosed football. They need to shut Texas State down and just give us something.
I mean,
give us something.
It's pretty easy, man. Like, you stop Bo Sparks, you stop this Texas State offense, at least as it relates through the air, right? Brad Jackson, their starting quarterback, which sounds like a make-a player on EA Sports College Football 26, has 500 yards through the air, completed 65% of his passes, 5 touchdowns, and 1 INT through the first couple weeks of the season, and that is with Texas State starting the year 2-0. Bo Sparks, in terms of the production that he's received from Brad Jackson, is the only player on Texas State with more than 8 catches. He's got 12. He's the only player that has scored a receiving touchdown for Texas State through 2 weeks. Mind you, they've scored 40-plus points in each of their games. He's got all 5 of Brad Jackson's touchdowns.
He played last year, right?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think he played last year. I think he actually had a really good game last year. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
A whopping 19.8 yards per reception. This is somebody that is a chunk play type of receiver. If you're Arizona State, that's your guy. That's the guy that you have to game plan around, especially if you're in the secondary and you got to force Brad Jackson to be uncomfortable in the pocket, whether you do that by sending extra pressure, trying to confuse them. Regardless, it's a Texas State offense that puts up 47.5 points per game. Again, 500 passing yards through 2 weeks. And you look at the Big 12, you go through the standings, you go through the stats. Which defense in this conference has given up the most passing yards through 2 weeks? The Arizona State Sun Devils.
It's unacceptable.
260.5 yards per game. That is the worst average in the conference. The most yards goes to Kansas. It's given up 603. Kansas State at 530. Arizona State 521 through 2 weeks.
Unacceptable stuff. Completely unacceptable stuff from this defense. And I think that they would agree as well. If
100%.
we ever said that this defense was the worst at anything in the Big 12, at any point in the season.
Secondary.
Right. Bo Sparks last year, 5 receptions, 60 yards for an average of 12. I do believe he had a hurdle. I think that's what I'm thinking of. I think he had, because I remember a white receiver having a hurdle, and I'm pretty sure it was him. Because I was like,
really
what?
Stuck with you.
It was like an open field hurdle. I was like, whoa.
It was like that's my spirit animal.
That's the Leo meme.
Yeah, like that's me.
It's me. No, I can't jump that high. The thing with this defense is if they snap into it this week, right? If they shut down Texas State, get a get-right game, and then they go in against Sawyer Robertson and Baylor the following week.
They love to air it out.
They love to air it out. Arguably the best passer in the Big 12 so far this season in Sawyer Robertson.
Arguably.
I think Rocco Beck's been the most accurate.
I think Rocco Beck's been the best quarterback.
I agree. Rocco Beck's been the best quarterback, but if you look at, I believe statistically, and maybe I'm off here.
I think you're right.
I think statistically they might even have similar stats, but Sawyer's only played 2 games. Sawyer has had some pretty crazy games. Either way, they're airing it out, right? So if you can then get a good get-right game against
Sawyer
Texas State.
has the most passing yards in the conference. He's got 859. The next closest is Avery Johnson with 763.
And they've played one more game, but Rocco also played like half of a game, right? Because I do believe that he was like 19 to 20 against South Dakota.
18 of 19.
Or 18 and 19. He had like 1 incompletion. I think Rocco, if I'm like projecting for the next level, complete quarterback, everything like that, I'm going to take Rocco. But as far as like right now, who's the most effective in the air, it is Sawyer, who they're also like, how many attempts per game does he have?
I mean, if you're averaging it just based off the 2, he's got through 98 attempts through 2 games.
I mean, that's still a lot.
I mean, that's over 40 attempts.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball
46, 49. Well, you said 98?
98, yeah.
Okay.
So 49.
Yeah, 49 attempts per game.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
The ball 50
but again, like and
he's completing, by the way, 62% of those passes.
He's been incredible. He's been incredible.
7 touchdowns, no picks.
And then you're playing Josh Hoover. And then you're playing Devin Dampier. So starting this week against Texas State, like Texas State is going to be the worst passing offense that you should presumably see over the next 4 weeks. And they have a good passing offense.
Yeah.
So
they have a high scoring offense.
And high scoring offense against bad teams, but still, statistically speaking, they've been good. It is the bread and butter of their offense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Push the ball downfield.
Absolutely. Especially without an Ishmael Mahdi this year. So if you can go into this game and get right in that secondary, that is going to pay wonders for when you go against Baylor, when you go against TCU, when you go against Utah, when you take on Iowa State, when you take on starting quarterback for Colorado, Ryan Staub, later this year. You're going to need your secondary to step up in a conference that we now are deeming a quarterback conference instead of a running back conference.
Yeah.
But it is great, and I do think that we should give some love at the now for the end of this show. We've talked about all the problems. I do think that we should talk about what's right and this run defense. Yeah. This run defense has been really, really, really good.
Yeah, the run defense has been elite through this point in the season, especially you look at the way that Arizona State has played against the run against Mississippi State in the second half of that game. Right now, the Sun Devils are averaging 77.5 rush yards allowed per game. That is good for 5th in the conference as it stands right now. You look at the teams in front of them, BYU's opponents, Stanford and Hawaii, I believe, through the first 2 weeks of the season. Or no.
BYU played... They played Stanford and then they played Portland State.
Yeah, they've given up 7. They've given up 14 total yards.
They played Portland State.
They've played nobody.
Yeah.
TCU again has only played 1 game. Then you've got Texas Tech and Utah. So realistically, the sample size,
Texas Tech's played nobody.
Texas Tech and Utah are realistically the teams that you've seen defensively, like actually have to play. I'm not going to say play real opponents, but they've played multiple games, etc. This Arizona State defense, again, just the eye test has looked really, really good against the run, both against NAU and against Mississippi State, which in theory, like if you're making a team one-dimensional, which Arizona State has done, like you would think that it's going to be easier for this defense, specifically the back end, and honestly for the pass rush to get there more as well. So that's something that I think, again, you can hang your hat on. I don't know how valuable a really good run defense is going to be this season
in this conference.
Valuable,
but not as much as last year when you're facing,
not as much as last year.
RJ Harvey and company and all the best backs in the Big 12.
But what I think that is going to do is it is going to allow you to have these opposing Big 12 teams throw the ball early, like in drives, 1st and 10, similar to the way that Arizona State has been doing unsuccessfully through the first couple weeks of the season, which has led this team to be in so many 3rd and medium or 3rd and long situations. That is what having a good run defense is going to continue to do for Arizona State. The issue is you can't allow on a 3rd and 7, on a 3rd and 10, these quarterbacks in this conference and this week against Texas State, Brad Jackson, you can't afford to allow them to pick up those big 3rd downs because of what that does in terms of momentum, confidence, keeps your offense from getting hot on the opposite end, right? They have to sit on the bench at least another 3 plays. Like, you have to be able to get off the field on 3rd down, and that all starts with stopping the run on 1st down if the opposition chooses to run the football.
Yeah, and I think also when you look at the secondary, and one of the reasons why we were so high on Arizona State's defense is because, okay, well, both sides, as far as the defensive line and the secondary go, can trust the other one to get their job done.
Yeah.
Right? They should not have something that's so glaring as a weakness as an individual unit on either side of the ball. Right? We said maybe the biggest concern that you would have would be actually getting to the quarterback, because that's something that they needed to do more last year. And I think they've done a pretty good job at doing that. Not like they've been absolutely elite at it, but run defense and getting to the quarterback has been improved. Maybe part of that is who they've been playing. as well. And we'll see if, I know it's not the running back conference anymore, but if you start playing in the Big 12 and maybe against some better running quarterbacks, if maybe that becomes a little bit more of an issue. But the secondary should know that a lot is going to ride on them this season.
Yeah.
They should know that when you're going and you're playing Baylor week 1 on the road, mind you, to open Big 12 play, and Baylor's had a much better season than you so far.
Yeah, I mean, they beat SMU last week.
They beat SMU last week, and obviously they had a tough loss to Auburn, and Baylor has all of their own deficiencies and worries, but they have a signature win, especially on defense, especially against running quarterbacks, but they have a signature win.
There isn't a worse statistical defense, by the way, in the conference than Baylor right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, that SMU game was crazy.
Yeah.
And Auburn put up, 48?
38 points, I think.
Was it 38-24?
38-24.
Yeah, I knew it was an 8 and a 4 at the end. That's how my brain works. But, and then, TCU, we'll see what Josh Hoover does. I mean, it's kind of weird that they had an off week. Obviously, they played on Monday against UNC, but I think he's an NFL level talent, right? You go against Devin Dampier in Utah, you'd argue Devin Dampier, has been a top 3 quarterback in this conference.
Thus far in this conference.
Granted, played UCLA, which, and then no disrespect to Cal Poly. But
again, you gotta look
Cal
good
Poly
against some of these bad teams, right? And that's what they've done, which Arizona State can't necessarily say that they've done through 2 weeks in the season, right?
No, yeah, absolutely not. Those quarterbacks have played much better, and then we're back to the Sam stuff, which obviously we'll be able to talk into a little bit more. But I want to give flowers to CJ. I want to give flowers to Clayton. Elijah O'Neal has been really, really good. Prince Dorba, I think, has also been good, starting the season off healthy this time around, and still hopefully reinforcements to come as well. Zach Swanson, hopefully back soon as well. I mean, you've got, and also for this just defense as a whole as well. Justin Watley is a pretty big piece.
Yeah, and he'll be back this week.
And he'll be back,
which is huge. Justin Watley back at practice today. Also, Jalen Moss back out there That's practicing big for the Sun Devils today, which we know would be huge for this Arizona State offense. I think missing both of those guys last week obviously played a role, specifically early on in this game, probably more so not having Jalen Moss out there than having Justin Watley. Yeah. But just being able to filter those guys in, hopefully this week. Again, we kind of know Justin Watley will be back. Jalen Moss, yes, he's out there practicing today. What does that mean for his status on Saturday? I think it means it's trending in the right direction.
Do you know about Kyson?
Kyson, we heard from Kenny yesterday, which was Monday, that he was, quote, probably going to be out.
Yeah, I would assume. Which, I mean, again, you've got the running back.
You've got plenty of running backs to the point where you shouldn't feel the loss of Kyson. That's not a knock on Kyson. That's just you have so many running backs.
That's the depth.
Yeah,
that's the depth.
We haven't talked about how it's such a bummer that he got hurt in that game.
Yeah,
it is. It is.
Obviously, you were fine with the running back room; they played great, but him being hometown.
That game, it's tough. And especially so early on in the season, this kid's, worked his ass off for this opportunity over the last several seasons. So, he'll be back hungry whenever he does get in there. Zechariah Sample out there practicing again today, Jaron Hamilton, all these guys. And again, I don't want to string too far into the offense because I want to build the show around the defense today. But just getting some of these guys back in the rotation, I think is going to be huge offensively, defensively. And again, we're talking about two guys in Jalen Moss and Justin Watley that, yes, they haven't necessarily been at ASU a terrible amount of time, terribly long. Watley was obviously here last year, but this first year for Jalen Moss, both these guys have played a ridiculous amount of football.
Yeah, they're not rookies. Level, they're not freshmen.
Having that veteran presence out there, whether it was in an ASU jersey or not in previous seasons, is going to mean a whole hell of a lot if this team is going to get right, especially this week when you get to Big 12 play and you see Baylor. And I think Jalen Moss specifically offensively, he is somebody that needs to have a big game, right? You didn't have him against Mississippi State. This is a guy that has had 10 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons at Fresno State combined. He is a very capable wide receiver. He is somebody that, if playing on Saturday, needs to be involved in the passing attack. Has to be.
Yeah, no, he absolutely does. And we'll have a whole game plan. I mean, we still have tomorrow's show, Friday's show that we'll get ready for Texas State in particular, including we'll have somebody I know who covers Texas State on Friday. About halfway through the show. I think to kind of round out the defensive side of things, I know that we've given love. I know that we've given some tough love as well. Is there any other positive points, players, moments from this defense that you want to highlight? Since, I mean, a vast majority of this has been what can they do better, and I think deservedly so, but it's not like it's been complete and total utter disappointment.
No, and
across the board.
that's the tough thing, right? Is because I don't necessarily think this defense has a ton of glaring holes, right? Because last year's defense didn't have a ton of glaring holes. They were a very clutch unit. So for them to lose an unfortunate close game in the way that they did, in a very unclutch way, is very uncharacteristic of this team, at least based off of what we've seen the last several seasons, specifically last year. But you, again, and it's cherry picking to just say, oh, you remove this, you remove that, and it's totally different. But it is like you take away 3 plays from Mississippi State's game, and we're talking about a defense that held Mississippi State to 3 points.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
3 very explosive plays, which of course the game looks different, maybe drives look different, but at the end of the day, those are 3 massive chunk explosive plays that added points for Mississippi State, which Arizona State cannot afford to give up big chunk plays against Texas State. You just can't have it. The coaching needs to be better, which is been acknowledged by the coaches over the last several days. I think they will get right. They will be better. You'll see a totally different vibe from this team, I think, against Texas State, offensively and defensively. I think there's going to be an emphasis on, really, really stopping those explosive plays on defense, and on the flip side, offensively, like getting into a rhythm and setting a pace and controlling the middle 8 and doing those things. All things that, are going to make an impact in the right direction for Arizona State.
Yeah, I feel confident in this team still. Again, there was a trending podcast that went out earlier this morning. We'll get it up on audio for you folks as well sometime soon. And there's been a lot of alarming things so far this season, but I don't really look at anything and say, oh, that can't change. That can't get fixed.
No, it's all, and that's the thing, is it's all very fixable, like very easy to fix.
Right. And the thing is, though, like now we're sitting at a point, though, where like this is the week where these things need to be fixed. Maybe not 100%, but we can't.
It needs to be improved.
Like it needs to be drastically improved, because if you're going in and playing Baylor this week, and we're talking about the secondary and everything, and it's like, okay, like you did okay against Sawyer Robertson, but Sawyer Robertson did Sawyer Robertson things.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, it's kind of hard to judge that. Like this week, and I'm not trying to disrespect Texas State, but it's not a Baylor. It's not a TCU. They have good players. They're a good team. You can't sleep on them. They'll have some offense. They will 1,000% score points in this game, for sure. But this is a week where there is no excuses. You've seen your problems. You have consistency. You know what you need to do. You have to go out there and fix it. We cannot be sitting here talking about this happening again next week.
Absolutely not.
Even if it's a win, you just can't. Because if you're heading into Big 12 play and these problems aren't at least on the right track, I don't know if you're going to be given the opportunity to get it back on the right track. At that point, the competition level and the margin for error is going to be so much slimmer that this is... If you told me that Texas State was going to be this important of a game, I'd be concerned, right? And I do think it is that important of a game, not just because, oh, you can't have 2 losses, which, yeah, sure sucks. You can run the table in the Big 12, still make it to the Big 12 championship, win the Big 12 championship, make the college football playoffs. But starting the season under 500 and 2 losses in non-con would be an absolutely concerning thing.
You can't start 1 and 2. That's definitely not what can happen.
Season's over.
Yeah, well, statistically, no. But I think, the vibes.
Like realistically, is the team that's going 1 and 2 in non-con running the table and winning the Big 12?
No, that's why I'm not saying that. I'm saying statistically, again, it's not like in theory over. But yes, the vibes around everything that has been said to this point, yes, there wouldn't be a reason to be like, I've got faith moving forward.
Well, also, that's not just this season. Then I have questions about this entire staff.
If they go down 1-2,
I
think it probably depends on what exactly how.
I don't know. I don't think there's any way that you can spin zone a loss to Texas State on Saturday.
There absolutely is, but I'm not going to throw out.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there are.
Okay, sure.
If this team doesn't get up for this game,
no, that's 100%. But I don't even think
staff. I have concerns about.
I don't think getting up has been the issue for this team the first 2 weeks of the season. I think they got punched in the mouth in a crazy environment week 2, and I think week 1 the schemes that NAU was running offensively and defensively, like, It just works.
Same.
So
Let's hope.
yeah,
Let's hope that's what happened.
What cannot happen is that we're sitting here having the same conversation about the secondary. We cannot be sitting here having the same conversation about the offense and Sam, and we cannot be sitting here hearing from Kenny Dillingham that he got out coached or that the coaching staff didn't have the players in the best position.
You're 100%.
Those are three things that non-negotiable. We cannot be repeating as topics next week, and for this season to still be back on track.
Yeah. I would 150% agree with you. Things need to look different. They need to be different, and they need to overall be better if Arizona State is going to advance to 2-1 on the year. And then I think everybody changes their tune and relax just a little bit, depending on what Saturday's game against Texas State looks like. Wanted to say one more thing, but before we get out of here, again, if you tuned in a little bit late in the show, join the Supporters Club. Come vibe with us. Get those special emojis, the special little banner that you get, or badge, excuse me. Sharon's already in there as an MVP.
Let's go.
Absolutely love to see it. Help us get more supporters in the Supporters Club than the Wildcats show, please. We don't need that by any means. We need to outdo them on every front.
We got way more of you guys.
We need to be better as a unit, as a team. And
we need to put you guys in better situations to succeed.
We will. We absolutely will. That is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils show. Hit that like button, the subscribe button on your way out. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. And if you enjoyed today's content, give the show a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the Skin Stealer here at Erik Ruby. That is Erik with a K. You can follow the Deli Man at Shane Dief.
Wanting you to join the supporter club as always, it's in the pinned in the chat if you're on mobile, and if you're on desktop, which apparently is a crazy thing to ask people, it's right next to the subscribe button.
And we will see you guys
As
on
always.
Wednesday. In the meantime, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.